Hi, it's Miss Chrissy here. Today I want to talk about something carrying over from my last video. We talked in the last video about not taking things personally. And it is one of the 4 agreements. I talk about that book a lot because I value it. It has so much wonderful life lessons and instructions in it. And it's really just 4 agreements. There's another book called The 5th Agreement if you want to follow up, but one of the other 4 agreements is to don't make assumptions. And we make assumptions all day long. We assume all the time that we know what someone else is thinking, what their tone is, what their attitude is, what their feelings are, and why they are doing things, and their intent and their intentions. And probably 10 out of 10 times we're wrong. And when you let go of making assumptions and just acknowledging someone's words or actions just for what they are and not putting any meaning to it and not assuming that it means something else, good or bad, when you do that, it's such a heavy weight lifted off your shoulders, because it's not really your job to assume that you know what someone is talking about or what their actions mean. And if you are unclear, then you should just ask and have a conversation and communicate with the person to have an understanding. But to assume, especially when it's something negative, if you're making an assumption on someone's being cruel or someone hurt your feelings, you definitely want to have a conversation about that, because a lot of times that's not what the person meant to hurt your feelings, or they didn't realize, and it could bring awareness to their actions. That happened at work last week where someone said something and the other person's feelings were hurt, and she was telling me that. And I said, just go talk to her, because I know she didn't mean to hurt your feelings. But if you tell her that it did hurt your feelings, then, then I'm sure you'll get a better understanding of what her words meant. And she did. And her coworker responded beautifully and said, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. That's not what I meant. And I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. So that's lovely. And that's gone. Like, neither one of them have to think about it again. Neither one of them have to, conspire to make assumptions the next time, because these things build. Your story builds when you make assumptions from other people's actions and words. The story builds. You think, and this is why they did it, or this is what they meant by it. So then your next interaction is like, well, see, remember what they did last time, and the time before that, what they said. And the bottom line is that it might not be any of that. And you get yourself all jammed up about things that you're making assumptions about. A evolved spiritual being will take the effort and the vulnerability that it takes to have a conversation, especially if you're getting very upset or your feelings are being hurt. What kind of reminded me, this is another way that we make assumptions, and it's just sort of funny. So there's a song that Natalie Merchant sings, and I love her. I love her voice. I love her music, and I have been a fan for a very long time. And this one song that she sings, when that album came out, I said album, that one, I was just becoming a single mom, and it was so empowering to me, and it lifted me up, and it just meant so much. It was like my theme song for a while, and like I don't think I really can sing. I don't have a great singing voice, but I do enjoy singing, mostly when I'm alone, because that's when I can like wholeheartedly belt out. And it's basically, I think if I could sing anyone's songs somewhat well, it's probably hers, because our voice range maybe, and also I connect to it so much. And I might sound terrible, but I don't care, because I find joy out of singing her songs loudly and with feeling. So I have this idea, this song, what it means to me, and what I thought her words when she was, singing the song, what I thought, I made assumptions that that's what the song was about. I didn't investigate. I knew what it was about. So years later, she was playing at a small theater near my house, and they were redoing one of her albums, and they were taking little films at each venue where she was performing this concert, where she was filming to put a movie together, and then a new album, all the old songs done in a new way with orchestra. Oh, beautiful, just beautiful. So I'm like, oh my goodness, she is going to be there. And of course I'm going to the concert. It was the first concert I took my children to see, was Natalie Merchant. So I go to the theater, I forget, with a friend, we went, and I got in the line. If you had a story, you wanted to say something, because they were going to interview fans at each concert venue along the way, and just interview them. So I'm like, I'm getting interviewed, and I'm going to get in that movie. Like, I don't know anyone else in my life, in my world, that is obsessed with Natalie Merchant like I am. So I go there and I get in line, and they talk to anyone that got in line. They talk to. They would say, well, I don't even remember what they asked, but what is your story? And my story was this empowering song, and lifted me up, and the whole album basically, but the song. And I was the mom raising two young daughters, so it was like inspired me to help to raise them to be independent, strong women. And it was just, and I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going to be in the movie. You guessed by now, I'm not in the movie. So, but of course I bought the movie because it was a VHS tape, and I bought the movie, and I'm watching it, and it's lovely. She goes through each song on this album that she redid, and they interview her back then. They have part of the old song, part of the new song. They're putting in clips of these concerts that they did and fans that they're interviewing. And the song, when she talks about this song, the song is Wonder. It was not about that at all, what I thought it was about. I made this assumption, and then when I heard her talk about what the song was really about, it was way more, when I watched it, I felt it was way more meaningful than what the meaning I put to it, but I applied it to my own life, and it was so much deeper. And I was kind of sad. I was like, oh my gosh, all these years, like I thought this song was my empowerment song. And I finished watching the movie, and I felt a little deflated. I'm not gonna lie, I did. But then this is silly. It's silly because in the end, I was wrong about my assumption, but in the end, it had beautiful meaning to me, because that's what it was to me at that time. So it didn't take, it took my joy, it deflated me for a minute, but it's still one of my favorite of her songs. And I can still sing it at the top of my lungs. Not really at the top of my lungs. No, I could, either way. I still love the song, but it's just that funny way that we make assumptions all the time about relevant and irrelevant things. Because that wasn't really like a relevant thing. That's not gonna, that didn't hurt my feelings. It wasn't mean spirit. It was a different sort of assumption. But I mean, just to show you how much we do make assumptions about all sorts of things. And we just really can get ourselves worked up and in a jam about it when we don't really need to, when we could just have a conversation about it with someone that we care about. Because honestly, like, if we're making assumptions about people, hopefully it's not about strangers, but you know what? It often is. Go back to the person cutting you off on the road. You're going to assume they're an idiot they don't know how to drive because they cut you off, or you're going to assume, you know, that they think they're a better driver or faster or whatever, where really, you know, maybe they're just trying to get to the hospital because someone is hurt, or maybe they just found out that someone died, or that they're sick, or they're just have to poop. Maybe they're trying to get home quick, or to the closest grocery store to run in the bathroom. You just don't know. So to automatically make assumptions in a negative connotation is only hurting you, because then you just put torture into your mind when you're like, these people. So don't do that anymore. And first of all, start to pay attention to when you're making assumptions, because again, we do it all the time. And so do I. And if you are assuming right now that I love flowers, that is correct, even though, you know, you don't have to ask me, because I'm just telling you, I do. They bring me joy, and I have them all over my house in little vases. These are probably the biggest vases I have them in. I have them in little vases all over in the bathroom, living room, all kinds of places. It brings me joy. And that's what we should be focusing on. We shouldn't be focusing on making assumptions about people in our lives pissing us off, or, you know, hurting our feelings when they don't mean to be, probably. And if they do, then, you know, maybe we need to eliminate them from our lives and not really care about what they think. Because if they don't know how beautiful you are and how wonderful you are and how much you matter and how important you are, then we don't want them in our lives. And no sense wasting time making assumptions over those kind of people. And I hope you caught that reminder that you are beautiful, and you are loved, and you are an amazing human being. And go buy yourself some flowers, or whatever it is that brings you joy. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you got to the end of it. And if you did, could you hit the like button, and could you subscribe to my channel? And if you could rate a little comment, tell me if you like this, or what your feelings are about assumptions. And if you have a, you know, an opinion about it, I would love to hear it. And until we meet again, enjoy the ride.